Hi guys, how are you guys doing? So I was supposed to deliver some words for you guys yesterday. I wasn't feeling my best yesterday, and so today I was like, okay, I'm gonna deliver the words. And on my way here, I'm on my way. I'm at the gym now, but on my way here, I got to the gym and I realized the gym was closed and they're not open till like 8 o'clock today. So I'm like, oh man, okay. So I'm like, this is the best time to deliver the word. Okay, so I want to share something with you guys that God showed me. Okay. So the other day, God revealed something to me. I always thought that I accepted God wholeheartedly in my heart in 2016. That's when I thought I accepted God in my heart wholeheartedly. And God showed me recently that I actually accepted him in my heart when I was 19. And for those of you guys that don't know, like I always had this like religious point of view of God because I grew up in the church. So, you know, when I was with my mom for a bit, I used to go to kids' church every Saturday. This was me. I used to go on my own. The school bus would pick us up. I would go on my own. So I remember going every Saturday faithfully to kids' church. And then when I went into like foster care system, I remember like I had a couple foster parents. And I went from like Pentecostal, I went to Catholic church. And then when I was with my dad for a little bit, we went to 7-day Adventist church, which was like every Saturday from morning to 6. So I always grew up in church, but I had a religious point of view of God. And I remember God was showing me something recently, and he was showing me the difference between how I felt about him up until the age of 19, and it was more of a religious aspect. But he showed me that when I was 19, there was moments where because at that time I was married and I was not in a good relationship. I was in an abusive relationship. And there was times where, you know, there was a time actually where my heart stopped. And I remember it was because I just had my son, and it was like 2 months after I gave birth, and I was going through a lot of stress. And my partner was very emotionally abusive, like gaslighting and stressing me out to the point where I would snap. It was like reactive abuse where I would snap and start yelling. And when I started to yell, I remember at one point my heart stopped and I couldn't believe it. I remember holding my chest and I had to sit down and my eyes were wide. And as he's yelling at me and coming up in my face and stuff, I remember I couldn't even talk. I was just sitting there trying to like breathe. And I remember like shortly after that, like maybe like a month after that or something like that, he ended up leaving. And I remember like months after he left, I remember I was like praying to God and I was talking to God, reading the Bible. And I remember there was a presence in my home, but I couldn't explain what that presence was. Right. And I remember when I was praying to God around these times, I remember like it was strictly coming from my heart. Right. And I didn't remember about all this. God had to remind me about this the other day. And I remember feeling a presence in my home. There was times where I never felt alone. And there was one time where I was laying on the chair and the Lord woke me up, but I didn't know that was the Holy Spirit at the time. I just didn't know what it was. I just knew there was a presence in my home, and my heart was really like warm. My heart was really like content and happy, even in my circumstances, right? And the reason why I didn't think that was the time I accepted God in my life was because of all the things that were going on in my life. I didn't think that. But when God showed to me recently, I'm like, yeah, you're right, God, because I forgot about it. I'm like, you were in my heart from since then, you know? And what ended up happening was I let, like, shortly after, like, I broke up with my ex-husband and everything like that. We were not divorced, but we were broken up. I remember letting my old friends back in my life, and they were all coming over all the time, staying at my house with me all the time. And I remember like I started smoking, and I was never a smoker, and I started smoking, I started drinking and everything. And I remember I started doing things that I wasn't supposed to be doing, like with smoking and drinking, clubbing and all that stuff. And God just recently showed me how he was in my heart from when I was 19. But what happened was, due to heartbreak and what I was going through, I opened back the door and I let the wrong people back in my life. And that distracted me from my walk. That distracted me from what he was going to do in my life at that time and the assignment that he had for me. So although God was in my life, I was not ready to accept the calling because I was still entertaining people that didn't have their best interest at heart for me. So he showed me that. Because that whole time I thought I accepted God in 2016 when I almost died. But I remember that 2016 was actually 2016 up until now was when I didn't backslide, right? I didn't go back to doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing, right? Actually, I did. I went into New Age, but my heart didn't. Like, I didn't like do things with the motives of, oh, I'm doing this and I'm not supposed to be doing this. When I got into New Age, I felt like I was doing the right thing because I got shunned from the church. So I felt like, you know, nothing was wrong with Oracle cards. Nothing was wrong with Tarot cards. But God never left my side. God never left my heart. Let the wrong friends back in my life. And the Lord showed me how that distracted me. And I was not able to receive the revelations that he wanted to bring me at those times because of the people that were around me. So that's what he showed me recently. So last night, I had this very vivid prophetic dream. And I resonate with this dream, but you guys are going to resonate with it as well. And in this dream, I saw a female that she was doing really good. Okay, she was doing really good. And her heart was right. She had everything in order for her. And she opened back the door and she let her friends back in her life. When I saw this dream, it reminded me of what God was showing me. So he was using this dream as an example to show me and to show many others what happens when we allow the wrong people in our life and how distracting it can be and what it can do. So in this dream, this female had things together. She had things together and she had things going for herself. And she opened back the door. She even had a kingdom husband. She opened back the door. And when she opened back the door, I saw these 3 women, specifically 3 women that entered her life, back her life. And these 3 women, you know, one of them would bring a lot of guys around. The other woman was always drinking, okay? And then the other woman was more of a gossiper. So all of them had these flaws, right? But they were all around her. And this particular woman, she was serving God. She was upright in the heart. And she was doing the right things. So she let these 3 women back in her life. And then when the women came in, they came to her home. And one of the women brought a bunch of guys in the home with her. The other woman, she brought a bunch of alcohol. The other woman, she brought a bunch of stories, a bunch of bones from other people's lives. You know how they say skeletons in the closet? She brought the skeletons of other people's secrets with her. So these men were all smoking and drinking and, you know, with all of them. And one of the women was gossiping as everybody's like drinking and smoking and listening in. But the woman that was a woman of God, she felt uneasy, like something was wrong. Like something is wrong. Like I feel like I'm doing something wrong. And then one of the guys tried to hit on the other woman. The guy tried to hit on the other woman. And then when the guys tried to hit on the other woman, the woman of God, she was drunk. So she literally was flirting back and doing things that she would not normally do. Okay, and the friend that brought the alcohol was encouraging her to drink more and drink more. The friend was trying to get her to sleep with one of these men or a bunch of these men. And then the other woman that was there that brought the guys was also trying to encourage her to sleep with them, right? And the gossip woman, the woman that was there, it's almost like she was just observing everything so she can go back and bring what this woman is doing to other people. So do you see how it's like a setup? So basically each of these women had a spirit on them, okay? So the woman that brought the alcohol, she had the spirit of addiction. She brought alcohol, she brought cigarettes, she brought weed. She had a spirit of addiction on her, and she brought all that. The other woman brought like 3 or 4, I think it was like 4 men, 3 or 4 men she had the spirit of seduction, of lust, and she brought these men, okay? The other woman, she was a gossiper. She brought the spirit of Leviathan, because not only does she gossip, but she doesn't tell the truth. She will sit there and she'll add in a bunch of lies to whatever the truth is. She'll add a bunch of lies to make whatever seem worse than what it is, and she'll go and spread this to other people. So she was a gossiper. So do you see how these three spirits were working together? These three spirits were actually working together, and these three spirits came into this woman's home. Okay, so what ended up happening was when the woman came, when all of them came, the woman that was with the alcohol was trying to tempt the woman of God. She was like, no, just drink, take another shot, take another shot, take more, take more, take more. So the woman of God was drinking, smoking. And because the woman of God was going through a lot at the time, she was drinking and smoking. And, you know, then the woman that had the seductive spirit of lust, she brought these men and she tried to get these men to seduce the woman of God. And the woman of God was really drunk, not in her right mind, but these guys were trying to seduce her and, you know, trying to flirt with her. And she was flirting back. But she didn't do anything. She was too drunk to do anything. Okay. So then the woman that is a gossiper, she was observing. She was sitting there in the corner and just watching everything go down. She was trying to observe everything, right? So the woman of God ended up falling asleep because she was really drunk, okay? And I'm watching all this play out in the spirit, in this prophetic dream. Actually, it's not spirit, in the spirit, it's prophetic dream. Watching all this playing out, and I'm standing there and I'm watching everything play out. And it reminded me of my life. It literally reminded me of my life and what God was showing me 3 days prior, okay? So as I'm watching everything play out, the woman of God was sleeping. She didn't do anything. But she woke up the next day, and the woman that had the Leviathan spirit told her, oh, do you remember what she did last night? She's like, what did I do? She's like, you slept with these guys. You slept with all of them. So the woman of God was confused, and she was like, what's going on? Oh my gosh, I didn't mean to do that. And the guys were agreeing and saying, yeah, you did this and this and this and this with us. And the woman of God started crying. And then the woman with the Leviathan spirit, she was trying to make her, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it, I won't say anything. So automatically the woman with the Leviathan spirit was feeding her lies and twisting what actually happened and twisting it to make it worse than what it was. And the other women were agreeing to it, and the men were agreeing to it. Okay, the woman of God was feeling bad. So, you know, because the woman of God was feeling bad, the other woman with the alcohol brought the alcohol and said, oh my gosh, just drink. This will take the stress away. Just drink. This will take the stress away. The woman of God, feeling bad because she thought she did something she didn't do, started drinking. And as she was drinking and stuff, right, the men were trying to seduce her again to try to get her to do something. She was like, no, I can't do it. She got really drunk to where she had to throw up. She ran to the bathroom to throw up. As she went to the bathroom to throw up, right, she came out the bathroom after she threw up. She felt a little bit better. She drank some water. She went into the room to get away from everybody, and then she saw the woman in the room that gave her the alcohol. She saw the woman in there. The woman that gave her the alcohol was sitting on the bed, and she felt convicted for what she did, okay? The woman of God was like, oh my gosh, I think I cheated on my kingdom husband. I can't believe I did this. Oh my goodness, like I didn't mean to sleep with those guys. And then she took, you know, the white scarf. There was a white scarf in a laundry basket. She took the white scarf out. She wrapped her head and she's like, I'm gonna go pray. She went into the bathroom to go pray and repent to God for sleeping with these men and for drinking and smoking. And, you know, when she went to go pray, the Lord said, get up. I heard the Lord say, get up. And when she got up, she sat on the toilet to pee. And when she sat on the toilet to pee, she realized that she was on her period this whole time. She didn't sleep with those men, right? She didn't sleep with those men. She was on her period the whole time. And what ended up happening was she opened the door and she's like, I'm on my period. And everybody left the house, like they ran. But the woman that had the spirit of Leviathan, she ended up spreading rumors saying that this woman slept with all these men in the same night when it wasn't true. And then all these other women co-signed it, right? And this woman of God, when they all left her house, this woman of God started repenting to God and started praying to God and saying she's sorry and everything like that. And when I woke up from that prophetic dream, it reminded me of my life. Like, that scenario didn't happen in my life, but it reminded me of what God was telling me days prior about having certain people around you, and how certain people around you will have certain spirits on them. And even though you may say, oh, I'm strong, I'm discerned, I'm this and that, just having the company around you alone, you have to understand that anything can happen, because that is a door that is open. And you have to understand that these spirits work together. They work together. You see what I'm saying? You ever had a situation where you have a bunch of friends, or 3 or 4 friends, or 3 friends, and then you're the odd one out, and for some reason when they're all around you, it's almost like there's weird vibes, and they're all like connecting with each other, but then when it comes to you, it's almost like they're kind of like cold towards you. And then you find out later on that they're clicked up behind your back, seeing each other behind your back, talking about you behind your back. They're clicked up on the phone and stuff like that. And maybe some of these friends, you even introduce them to each other, and they're clicked up behind your back, and they all of a sudden have weird vibes towards you. That was like the same thing I was getting in that dream. You see what I'm saying? That was the same kind of vibe I was getting, how they all clicked up together, and they all came with a plan. They came with a motive, right? So you have to understand that when God separates you from people, it's not because he's trying to isolate you and keep you lonely. No, the devil what the devil will do is, when he tries to keep you away from people, is to sabotage you, is to make you go into depression, suicide. When God separates you from people and isolates you, it's for a reason. It's for you to grow. It's for you to discover who you are through him. It's for you to understand your walk, your calling, your purpose. It's for you to take your walk seriously. It's for you to strengthen your gifts. It's for you to strengthen your discernment. It's for you to strengthen your faith, strengthen your trust. And having certain people around you can distract you from that. It can distract you from that. And what happens when it distracts you from that is that you become delayed. You don't become denied. You will become delayed, okay? On top of that, that's extra additional drama that you don't need in your life. So for any of you guys who are walking with God now, who have been like tempted to go back to the past, or who've been asking God, why, God, are you separating me from people? This is why. This is why, because you have to understand that if you're not well discerned, you're not well equipped. Thank you, God. Because I'm like, what's the word God used to equipped? If you're not well equipped, right? This could have been you. You can backslide and fall into things like this. Again, I said this dream reminded me of me, even though that was not the same kind of details, similar details, but that whole scenario didn't go down like that or anything like that. It reminded me of me because when I was around friends that were similar to that, it caused me to backslide. Yes, I'm responsible for my own decisions, but when you have certain spirits around you, the temptation is real. And if you're not discerned or equipped, something that looks so innocent, that may look like innocent fun, can actually be you being tricked into a territory that God does not need you to be in. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I mean when I say, like, you know, God is separating you from a lot of people because of this. You have to understand that even some people in your family, there's a spirit of witchcraft on them. Where when I didn't know that someone in my family was doing witchcraft to me, I always tried to be around this person because I wanted this person to love me so bad. So I always wanted to be around them, and I always tried to show them love. But when I found out it was this person, I kept my distance. I started to understand why God has been trying to pull me away for the longest while, and why God was trying to show me for the longest while to stay away from them, but I didn't understand at the time. But now that I'm stronger and equipped and I can see and I can hear more, I realize now why. When I let go of all these people, my gifts got stronger, my discernment got stronger, my relationship with God got stronger, and it all got stronger because there was nobody around me to distract me. There was no one around me to take the attention away from my walk with God. And that's what I'm trying to show you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay? I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.